I start telling people about hell, I might just scare them off. Where are you going to scare them off to? Hell number 2? Or are you just going to sit there and let them burn?
This is Chris from Don't Let Them Burn. Welcome to our program. This is Reign of the Tech, episode 5. And don't forget, you can reach us on dontletthemburn.com. Obviously, this is on YouTube, but it's on other video platforms as well, especially BitChute. You can reach us on social media, Facebook, and other, Twitter, and it's just the links are below. Just check us out wherever you want to. Also Instagram. If you want to support the channel, there's many different ways, but one of the main ways is to like, subscribe, and share. But if you want to help us get new equipment, you can get one of these t-shirts. I got a lot of compliments on this t-shirt today. You can get a t-shirt, and you can also become a patron on Patreon, or you can just send something through one of the links below. It's up to you, but share this video. I think you're going to be very impressed, not in the sense of, it's all about us, but about the information that we're going to share based on truth and knowledge that you need to know, especially if you want to spread the gospel these days. You could spread it through the information regarding tech. So today, my guest is Mike Spaulding. How you doing today?
Chris, I'm doing fantastic and excited about our conversation today. And this is cutting edge stuff, and what we see going on in our culture today is something we should pay attention to, and that's technology.
Oh yeah. Technology, obviously it's ubiquitous. We can't get away from it. We're using technology right now to broadcast. We've been inundated with technology for a long time, but it's speeding up so rapidly. And it's everywhere. You remember when I think it was around the time Obama was going to get elected, and they had Will.i.am zoom in through a hologram. You remember that? I think it was on CNN.
Yes.
One of those. The tech is being put in front of you, and we're not saying all of it is evil, all this stuff, but we're going to come to a precipice in time where tech is just going to be definitely everywhere. It's called the Internet of Things. The Antichrist will use it to control people, and the false prophet, by the way. So just trying to put some things in context for you. Go ahead, pass the mic.
Yeah. So Chris, that's a fantastic lead in, and I would just remind some folks who already know this, maybe inform others who had never thought about it, or they're just not aware of it. But technology that we use today, it follows a very similar path in being released to the general public. And this path is that it goes through and I'll just call it what it is, the military industrial complex. Technology goes through, it's brainstormed, it's invented. And folks, you need to understand this as well. Technology it's not dropped out of the sky. Technology is a result of a bunch of folks that you wouldn't even know exist, don't know their names, not familiar with the organizations that they work for, but it would be places like the Department of Defense or the RAND Corporation, places like that. They identify a problem. How do we address this problem? And then they go about developing technology to accomplish that goal. Now, Chris, you're familiar with this. You probably already read it, but here's a book that I would recommend people get a hold of, The Pentagon's Brain. Mm-hmm. So this is DARPA. That's the acronym. DARPA stands for, I don't even remember anymore. Defense Advanced Research something.
Agency.
Fantastic book.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, not to cut you off, but I'm glad you brought up DARPA, because the internet used to be called ARPANET.
That's it.
Came from DARPA. So
yes.
If you didn't know that history, learn something new every day, right? Go ahead, sir.
That's exactly right, Chris. So the internet was developed for a military application. cell phones and cell service and the technology behind all that, it was all developed for a military application. So the point I'm getting at here, folks, is that the things that are in common use today that we take for granted, well, in most instances, it has a decade, 2-3 decade history of development behind the scenes for military grade applications before it becomes available to the general population. And we think, wow, this is great. And Chris, I imagine that these folks that develop this stuff, they're sitting behind the scenes just laughing at us because, we're going on and on about how great this is. And they say, well, if you people really understood anything, it's been around for 25 years, that kind of thing. But that's what we need to understand. And by the way, here's another good book. That cover may look familiar to you, Chris.
Yeah.
That's a good book right there if you want to find out about artificial intelligence and some of the technology that's out there, especially as it relates to surveillance. And I'm sure we'll touch on that, Chris, before our conversation's up. But I just want to throw something out there for folks. Talking about technology, the first debate, it has concluded, and by everybody's estimation, it was a clown show. It was a train wreck of monumental proportions, and depending on who it is that you're backing, you're going to put your spin on it or whatever.
Yeah.
And listen, I didn't watch it at all.
Okay.
But everything that I've heard from folks that I trust and their viewpoints, it was a train wreck.
Yeah.
However, there was a little bit of technology that came into play, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
And you've heard this, I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mr. Biden was wearing a wire. He was wearing a wire. He was being communicated with, even though part of the deal for the debate was they weren't going to do that. Well, did it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Chris, I'm hearing, you've heard that Mr. Biden also had military grade contacts.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you've probably got a little insight into this. Contacts. Well, what's wrong with that? Everybody wears contacts. A lot of people wear contacts. What? No, that's not what we're talking about here.
Oh.
This is a whole different kind of application in contacts, isn't it, Chris?
Yeah. These companies, like you said, military grade stuff. You have Sony developing what you see in the sci-fi movies, these contact lenses that could, zoom in and do all sorts of weird stuff, right? But that's not technology. They're going to pioneer it for the public. It's not new. And so imagine now you have a way to cheat in a debate. And people are not going to suspect this except if they're awake to the technology. And so people have pointed this out that, the wire and the contact. So this is something, by the way, not to get, too sidetracked, but the application of the contacts, the glasses, the HoloLens, this is going to be ubiquitous. I'm talking about you're going to be able to snitch on people. It's just like how, just imagine right now you see every, whether it's a police incident or something else, you see people pick up their cell phones and, just imagine now they don't have to pick up their cell phone. Everything is connected to the internet, including their glasses and their contact lenses. And like I said, there's weird stuff that you could do from infrared, X-ray, all sorts of stuff that you see this stuff in the sci-fi movies. When you see this stuff, it's not that somebody just had a brilliant idea. Usually they've, siphoned off information from somebody else, or they research in the future tech. That's the formula. So don't be so surprised that what you see in the sci-fi movies and the comic books or whatever are coming to life now. This was all predictive programming. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, and absolutely was. And here's the thing that we should be concerned about, Chris. Technology, when the government is involved, any agency of the government, but especially when it has to do with defense contractors and the military industrial complex. The thing that we should be concerned about, people just like you and me, Chris, honest, hardworking, everyday people.
Yeah.
The purpose of technology as it's being rolled out now is surveillance. And surveillance, folks, has one end goal. One. It's only one. It's very simple. Surveillance is all about control. It's all about control. Now, there are many facets of that and many steps in that process they'll utilize to arrive at the goal. But surveillance technology right now, and we've seen it in communist China and some other places, it's splashed all over Hollywood movies, Chris. Yeah. How many times do we see, you know, the closed circuit television cameras that they record everything everywhere, airports, train stations, bus stations, everywhere. That kind of technology is being rolled out in major cities all over the world. It's being used in cities in the United States today. And there's one purpose in that. It isn't for your safety. Can we just stop with that? Oh, it's to protect us, so they can see if something's happening and they can bring people to justice. And no, it isn't. It simply is not. Now, they may use that as camouflage to deceive and distract people, but technology, folks, this is where it's going. And you should really read Patrick Wood's work on Technocracy, which is, and we're seeing that even rising today, Chris, which is rule by specialists or rule or control by elites, scientific elites. Yeah. We're seeing that today, right now, folks. This whole CDC, COVID, Chinese, Wuhan, coronavirus thing, and all this is all just a little snippet of technocracy and control. It's what it is, Chris, right?
Yeah, absolutely. These people, even though, oh man, this could dovetail into so many different areas. They want to make a breakaway civilization, right? So basically, that's for the elites, and they go into their little bubbles and to avoid the wrath of God and plagues and all this other stuff, right?
Yep.
And what they'll have is a slave class. The slave class will be obviously controlled by tech. They will have smart cities, but not just smart cities, mega smart cities. And if you go to, I believe it's America2050.org, hope I get that right, you'll see how they want a lot of the mega cities on the coastlines. So California, New York, wherever, Florida. And in the middle, they'll have small cities, but most of the small towns and stuff that you know now, they're already getting cut off. I saw this in Florida. They're taking off the exits and all this, and this is a whole bunch of Agenda 21 stuff to basically take where people could live and turn them into animal land and all this stuff. So my point is this, again, you are going to be huddled into these mega cities when all this tech takes over. And now one of the reasons why we're able to be led into this direction is because of social Darwinism. Survival of the fittest. The ones that could actually maintain in this society, in an elite, kind of like an elite standard. You're bred to be an engineer. You're bred to be a sports star. You have your designer babies and all this. It's going to be weird, okay? But I'm telling you the truth, and you could look this up online at any time. He's naming some really good books that you need to go read. And I'll bring up some other stuff later, but go ahead, sir.
So Chris, 2 words for folks that have joined us today. They actually turned this into a Hollywood movie franchise. They told us everything that you just said, Chris. They signaled that to us in a series of films, and those films were called The Hunger Games.
Yes.
The Hunger Games. They showed us, this is your future. Do you think somebody just came up with this idea and said, oh, well, this would make a great movie? I mean, I know it's a little far-fetched and nobody'd ever believe it, but, you know, it'd make a great movie. It's like, no. They're telling you this is what we're going to do to you. We're going to put you in animal land. If you're not part of the elite living in the city, you're going to be those that are going to be serving for our pleasure and our entertainment and be our slaves, as Chris has already said. Folks, if you don't see this right now, all over the globe, but especially right here in America, there's been some curtains that have been torn back for a clear view of what the elites plan for America. And Chris, I think it's part of the responsibility of any man or woman who names the name of Christ, that we should be blasting this information out to anybody that we can reach. And I know some people say, well, what's Christianity got to do with it? It has everything to do with it. Everything to do with it. And as men and women who have placed their faith in Christ, we should be telling people the truth about everything that's going on. It's one of the reasons I appreciate you so much, Chris, is you take on all these subjects and these platforms, and you put this information out there so that people can avail themselves of it. Because, folks, having information and data at the right time prepares you for what's about to happen. So don't think this is some pie in the sky, sci-fi, never going to live to see thing. The things that Chris and I have been talking about so far, this is happening in real time right now. These are examples.
I have a real shocker for people, and I'm going to share my screen so that they see that what you're saying and what I've been saying about predictive programming is not a lie. Watch this. What do you see there? Russia planning real-life Hunger Games reality show competition. Now let me back up. This is a 2017 article, but this guy was a billionaire. Well, he is a billionaire, but it's been canceled. So don't panic. It's been canceled. But he was trying to do it, and he gave out the what does it say? The 30 participants will compete against each other in the Siberian wild for survival. They will face bears, freezing temperature, and other obstacles, all for a $1.7 million prize. And it goes on and on.
Wow.
They were going to be able to do whatever they can to each other to get this money. So if this was going to be real and it was canceled, what are the chances that it's going to come back?
Well, the chances are excellent, and it will come back, folks. Think about this. There are people walking among us right now that would murder somebody for $1,000 and not even blink an eyeball about it. So if you sweeten the pot to $1 million, you'd probably have millions of people to say, yeah, I'd murder somebody for $1 million. Yeah, what Chris is talking about there in that example.
Do you remember? Of course you remember. You're just like me. I'm pretty sure you watched a ton of movies back in the day. Death Race 2000 and all these movies.
Oh, yeah.
It's always a competition, and sometimes it's set in a post-apocalyptic world and all this stuff. And there's always something to do with some competition with you killing each other. You had Schwarzenegger.
Yes.
Something man. All right. So the movie that I was struggling to remember was The Running Man, and here it is with Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? And this was a dystopian type movie. In fact, as it says here, in a dystopian America, a falsely convicted policeman gets his shot at freedom when he must forcibly participate in a TV game show where convicts runners must battle killers for their freedom. And so that was directed by Paul Michael Glaser. In fact, here is Richard Dawson, the game show host in real life that I was trying to remember there. And so, yes, so The Running Man is the movie that just wouldn't come to mind. I just wanted to inject this because we never got the doggone name. So anyway, it's a sci-fi action thriller, And I know some of you have seen this movie. So, again, predictive programming. So there it is. So this is not
Same
a
thing.
concept. They're just repackaging old concepts. And in fact,
Yep.
in Hunger Games, Katniss Everdeen, that's the goddess Diana, the hunter goddess.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So, take it anywhere you want to, but it's all.
Boy, you know what, Chris, right there. That's an open door. You talk about rolling out all of the Titans, reintroducing the Titans, the Watchers, the mythology, reintroducing that to a whole new generation, and they're just lapping it up, aren't they? They're just thinking, "Oh, this is the greatest thing ever."
Yeah.
You're being conditioned, folks. You are being conditioned to receive the demonic when it appears. And I said when it appears, not if. Not if it appears. It's going to appear. I've read the rest of the book. How about you, Chris?
Oh, yes, definitely.
We know what's coming.
Yeah. And, in fact, there's a book right behind me, right there. Game of Gods. You need to pick that book up. It's by Carl Tykrib. And he illustrates a lot of things going on with these gods, the Burning Man and the UN and all this stuff. So I encourage you to pick that book up. And so, these Titans will be coming back. And how? Right now, we're seeing the resurgence of that. And then we're seeing the rise, the reign of the tech coming. And so I've shown videos where these builders of AI say that demons are going to come. They don't use the word demon, though. I'm using demon. They're going to come and inhabit AI. So that's the purpose for them building it, because they asked the spirits, why are you having me build this? Because they're giving them hidden knowledge. And they said, so they can come and inhabit it. So how will it manifest in the future? We don't know exactly. And I don't think I'm going to be here, but, it's going to come. So I know it's weird, sounds far-fetched, but we're giving you instances, we're giving you articles, we're giving you books to read, and these books are thoroughly researched. In fact, the first one he showed you, the Pentagon's Brain, DARPA co-signed it in the sense of everything is true.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yes, that's exactly right. And I'll give him another example, Chris. Because you just opened this door. So you talk about AI and the demonic inhabiting that. You need to understand, folks, that transhumanism. Now this has been discussed for years, and it's kind of died down a little bit right now. On purpose, in my opinion. They're working out things, but that desire is in the human heart. The desire, especially in the unregenerate heart. So that heart that has not been transformed by the Holy Spirit, that heart that is still Adam's heart. Let me put it that way. You're still the family of Adam. A lot of people want to be immortal. The idea of being able to escape this body, sickness and disease and all that stuff, and become something that might be immortal, might live for hundreds of years and have intelligence that far exceeds our own. Well, that's very appealing to a lot of people. But I got to tell you something, folks. You need to investigate that, because transhumanism, I believe, transhumanism is one of the tricks that the enemy of our souls is trying to use to enslave, and once enslaved, to condemn their souls to hell. I think that our enemy, Satan, is using transhumanism and the human desire to escape this fleshly body and the disease and everything that it comes with it, and become something entirely different, a type of God. Hello, let's go back to the Garden of Eden and talk about that. We're listening to that lie again. We want to become a little g God. I think that's a deception, Chris, and it's going to come on like a freight train. It is going to come on at the appropriate time, and people are going to jump on board. Right now, it's for the rich only. They're investigating and investing and all of this kind of stuff. but it's coming, folks. So I would encourage you to do your research on transhumanism, what it's really all about. There's a reason why Christians, born again believers, should stand against that. There's a number of reasons why we should oppose that. But this all falls right in line with the rise of tech that we've been talking about here. Here's a much smaller example, but I think this example is being pushed and used for conditioning purposes.
Yeah.
And that's the number of people, Chris. It's alarming to me, and I'm going to toss it back to you for your thoughts, but it's alarming to me the number of people that are voluntarily going and having chips inserted into their hands for any number of reasons. Now, they started out with our pets, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's do it. And people love their pets, so they'll willingly do that. And, and it'll help track them down when they get lost. I mean, we'll sell it that way. And then they started rolling it out for our kids. Well, it'll track the kids down if somebody grabs them and tries to kidnap them. It's for their own safety. How come they're always pushing all this stuff from the safety angle, Chris?
Right.
It's always about safety, isn't it? Our own safety. Well, you know what it says? I think it's 1 Thessalonians 5. When they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction will come upon them. Folks, you got to be very wary of these companies and any government that's pushing these kinds of things, injecting something into you. It's tracking and it's control is what it is, folks. Chris, what do you think about that?
I'm going to touch on some of your points. Totally right. And listen, folks, the United Nations is a major part of this, okay? Full of technocrats. Then you have Davos, you have the World Economic Forum, you have the Bilderbergs, and on it goes. Peace and safety. Lo and behold, my pastor, Pastor Billy, we did a film, it's called Seals, okay? And he went to the United Nations. And their motto is peace and safety.
Yeah.
The Bible's always correct. Always.
Yes, amen.
Correct. Okay? And God reveals his truth in some weird ways sometimes. I'm like, oh, I didn't expect that angle, right? And so you're right also about the convenience factor. It's always about for the good of humanity. Well, let's just translate that. What that translates to is humanism. Humans can work out our problems. We don't need an outside force. We don't need God. In fact, is there really a God? You know? And so you'll see it in the films and all this stuff. Humans can come together and we can make the universe better. You see it in the Avengers movies and all whole sorts of different movies, right? And
Yes.
I can't remember what verse it is. I think it's in Psalm 1, if I'm not mistaken, about the kings of the earth. And then
Psalm 2.
Psalm 2? Okay.
Yep.
And they're doing all these weird stuff against the Almighty. But there's a part where the kings of the earth turn their weapons on Jesus when he returns. That's technology. That's humanism. That's blasphemy. Any other word you want to use, okay? Now, as you said, you got the pets, you got the Alzheimer's patients. Here's another point. This is, my goodness. I found out about this around 2007, 2008, and that was already old news, okay? These people were putting RFID chips in their shoulders and back of their arm or whatever to get into nightclubs in the VIP. Into VIP. So you're willing for somebody to stick something in your body just to get into a club to have fun? Really? And I'm pretty sure it's still going on because in Sweden they're going cashless and some other countries as well. So listen, this is real. This is happening in real time. The frog in the boiling pot, you put the frog in and it's cold, then you turn it up a little bit, it gets warmer, turn up a little bit more. Eventually the frog is boiling and doesn't even know it. And then you're dead, right? So they use this sort of system to condition us into accepting the technology, but many are willing to accept it because they've been inundated with all sorts of stuff. I'm not saying if you watch sci-fi, you're going to be as acceptable, but some are. It's just the truth. You know, I was thinking a bunch of crazy stuff before God really opened up to my mind to some concepts that we're talking about today. And I was all for future tech and all this stuff. And then God opened up my mind. I was like, oh, okay, maybe I want to go the other way, right? I was going to buy a Tesla that costs $100 and something $1,000. I was just living for the world. I would never buy it now because you know how easily these things can get hacked into. And yeah, you're going to say, well, not everybody's car is getting hacked into, but go look up the articles about the burning cars and the cars that drove off the road by themselves, all sorts of stuff, okay? So there's another point I want to get to regarding video games, but I'm going to let you go before I get there.
Okay, so talking about cars, Chris, this is something I think the technology is already there. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that it's been rolled out yet, i.e., included in mass manufacturing or production of automobiles. I wouldn't be surprised, and we can mark the time. You know, this is 2020. I wouldn't be surprised if we learn, well, if the Lord tarries and we're still here, mm-hmm. and that's a big if.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if in a couple of years we don't learn, well, you know, back in 2020, that technology was already in automobiles, but they didn't let anybody know about it then. What am I talking about? I'm talking about kill switches or electronics in vehicles that can disable, number one, or number two, take over the driving function of that and deliver a person to a destination they never intended to go to, i.e. kidnapping. Now, some people are thinking, there's no way they would never. You better back up, because I'm here to tell you that technology is already available. Whether or not they're implementing it, that's a whole nother question. I can't speak to that. Perhaps Chris will, because he's got a smile on his face.
you know, I have something, man. And I want this thing to just to show correctly when I show it, man, because I got a couple of articles here. It might show a little tiny for you because my computer's bugging out a little bit. Give me a second here. Listen, the technology is here, people. It's here. And like I said before, it's happening in real time. Real time means real time. I don't think I need to explain anymore. Okay? Yeah. Now watch this. I'm going to share the screen. What do you see there? Finance company shuts down vehicles too soon. Lawsuit alleges. Right? They're using this technology to do that. Here's another article. If it goes, all right, there we go. Device allows dealers to disable cars for late payments. Right? And folks, this is old news. Look at the timestamp. Look at the date, 2015. Okay? Here's another one. Miss a payment? Good luck moving that car. New York Times, right? RFID systems for the passenger car rental industry. All right. So they're going to use RFID technology to know exactly where you're going with that car. No more theft. And they can possibly shut it down if you do something wrong. They'll know if that accident that you reported wasn't really the truth. What's this? Welcome to the whole picture with driver ID. A look into, what's that? Fleet Matrix revealed driver management software. So we got the apps and all this stuff. They will be able to know everything, basically. That's the short version.
Wow.
GPS truck tracking benefits your business. And we haven't even gotten to self-driving trucks, but for the human drivers, here we go. You will be tracked everywhere you go. So you think on that job you can go sleep, or for you guys that sleep around with prostitutes, you think you're just gonna stop at that brothel and no one knows? No. The benefit.
Better think again.
Yeah. The benefits of RFID driving identification in GPS truck tracking. I'm just giving you a couple here so that you can see. Let me see what is, sorry. Human-centric GPS tracking and monitoring. This was a PDF. I didn't finish reading it, but there you have it. You got the title there. For those that are just listening on the podcast, the PDF is the Emerging Ethics of Human-Centric GPS Tracking and Monitoring. So you can go look that up for yourself. We have IBM Watson works with humans to outthink challenges, and that's another subject we're going to get into. But right now we're on the automotive industry. Go ahead.
Well, we've known that this technology has been in use for a long time in the trucking industry. Yeah. Trucks and their trailers can be tracked. And we've known from a manufacturing context or standpoint that this technology has been around for a long time. They attach RFID chips to products. Think about it, folks. Anti-theft. Think about that technology. They put those chips into products that, well, they have a propensity to just disappear off shelves and don't go through the checkout. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Well, if they put those things on those products, and you go out through those little arches and beep, 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 starts alerting people. This kind of technology has been out for a long time. Yeah. And again, to go back to what we started the program with, Chris, when it gets down to us and gets a wide commercial application, that's about 30 years down the road from this technology as it's been developed. Yeah. And again, it was developed for a military application first. And then they found a general consumer application to really cash in the money. But the people that are making the money are the people that hold the patents and all of that for these products. But anyway, IBM Watson, story's been around for a long time. We've watched this really in real time, as you said, Chris, develop, and they were just playing around when Watson was playing chess, Chris. That was just, trying to humor the public and show a softer, gentler side of invasive technology. Yeah. But what's going on with Watson today? That's the real question, right? Yeah. What is going on with Watson today, Chris? What do you got for us?
Well, I'll give the audience a clue to how they see. Watson was on Jeopardy, right? How you build AI is feeding it information. So of course, Jeopardy is just perfect. You got the questions, give the answer, and then the computer does its calculations and all this stuff. When it comes to Google AI, they're feeding the world's books. They're buying books by the millions and spending a ton of money to feed their AI. But think about this. This is just books. Every search result that you do goes into that AI. Everything in your Gmail, everything with their new assistant, everything linked to Google gets fed to the AI. So just bear that in mind so that you understand where we're going to go next. Okay. So let me go back and share my screen again. It's basically where we ended off a minute ago, where IBM Watson works with humans to outthink challenges. So now we're getting to human integration, okay? And as you've read in that book, they wanted to hook us up with AI. The Pentagon's brain, they wanted to hook us up with AI for a long time. People like Linklater and if I forget some of the names. In this one, we have this is an IBM commercial, and the premise of this was they will know everywhere you are and they will be able to give you directions. And so the truck stops in the road and she's telling them different stuff and blah, blah, blah. This one is what you mentioned earlier, where we have all this technology and soon you will be able to just walk through the door without a cashier's assistant. All the self checkouts now, this is what it's leading to. But eventually, those self checkouts will not even exist anymore. You'll just go pick up your product and walk out. It'll be linked to your cell phone or a chip in your hand, or hey, Bible talks about the forehead, right?
Yeah. It's
So,
for your convenience, though, Chris, right?
all right. So, Amazon has a store where you actually do this through, it's linked to your cell phone. But going back to Watson, I have the article here, but some of my pictures are mixed up. Watson is now watching our financial markets. So our financial markets were already controlled by a computer system. Man, listen, you go back and look at some of the videos from the 70s, you'll be blown away to what they could do back then with these systems that were pretty ugly, but they were powerful, right? So we have Watson watching our financial market. When you go on a website and you see a little bubble pop up, it's an AI. It's not just a little assistant sitting there 24/7 for you to come and talk to them, you know? So this whole idea of artificial intelligence can be broken down into many different parts, many different parts. They have propaganda on TV. It's been around for so long. We're talking about comic books. You got Ultron, you got Brainiac, Star Trek, you have Data. Star Wars, you have C3PO and R2D2. What do you think those things are? They call it droids, but it's artificial intelligence. C3PO translates 6 million languages. That's not some small processing power, okay? So we're just pointing out some things here that you could use, take the notes, do your research, and get some of these books, that will help you to basically dissect the information so that you can start conversations and again preach the gospel. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, absolutely. And so while you're sharing all that, Chris, I'm thinking, you know what? This is really this goes right back to social media. Now think about this, folks. Social media is nothing than more than, or certainly not less than, AI testing grounds. Yes. Data collection points. Think about all the algorithms and all the formulas and the computer code and everything. Yeah. Folks, Facebook, people just think social media is, well, it's this platform and we're showing pictures with my family out in California. And it's like, well, actually, there is a profile, a file with your name on it and all of this information. And it includes predictive information that they've gathered from your post, the things you've liked, the things you follow, the groups you belong to. It is actually constructing a profile of who you are. And I'm going to say this, Chris, because I think it's true.
Yeah.
They're pretty accurate. They are pretty accurate because there are so many folks, millions of people that don't understand that social media is really just it's just a curtain that intelligence communities, not just in America, but other security and intelligence communities. I'm talking about FBI, CIA, the Mossad, MI5, whomever. Because folks, here's the deal. We can talk about how wicked the CIA is or the Mossad or whomever. They're all in cahoots.
Yeah.
They're all exchanging information. They're all in cahoots. They're all trying to do the same thing. The money pot is the same, paying all of this. Where I'm going with this is this. When you go to social media and you put stuff out there and you think, well, that's, I'm just sharing stuff with no, actually what you're doing is you are hand delivering
Mhm.
You're hand delivering information
Yeah.
for those people that are building a profile. Why are they building profiles? Well, I don't care if they send me ads. No, that's not the point. That's not the purpose. Now,
Yeah.
now they're going to do that to make you think, well, that's it. That's the end game. That's not the end game. Information, Chris, what's the old saying? Information is power.
Mm-hmm.
Information is power. They have already, and I'm sure they've done it with me.
Mm-hmm.
They've done it with anybody that has a social media presence.
Yeah.
They're trying to predict your next moves or your very probable moves or decisions when certain events happen. Now, some people may hear that, Chris, and they'll think, well, that's sure conspiratorial. It's like, well, you need to understand something. When we're talking about tech, remember what we said.
Mm-hmm.
Tech is all about surveillance, and surveillance is all about control. That is the direction that we're moving in. It's all about control. Governments, when they are not informed by biblical ethics, governments will start moving towards tyranny. It's a proven fact. We're seeing in America today. This Chinese Wuhan coronavirus has exposed all these tyrants for what they really are. Yeah. They want control. Mm-hmm. So social media is one of those things. There's technology behind it. It's some very sophisticated code, language, algorithms, artificial intelligence, to Chris's point about Watson. Artificial intelligence is learning at exponential leaps. It's starting to concern, and I know you've probably seen it too, Chris. It's starting to concern folks whose field of research and writing is ethics. Uh-huh. It's starting to concern folks that AI is going to, they say it's going to get loose. Mm-hmm. It's going to get away from us. And then we're going to have a real problem because it's going to be able to control, manage, and do some real damage. So I better toss it back to you at this point, Chris, because I'll just keep going on this tangent. But AI, folks, it's not the answer. It is not the answer. It is going to be a serious, serious problem if we don't keep this harnessed. And I'm afraid that the wrong people are at the controls of AI, and they're going to use it intentionally against us, Chris. What do you think?
Oh, definitely. But let me go back to a couple of your points so I can circle right back to where we just stopped. PreCrime. PreCrime. If you've seen the movie Minority Report, it's where the police, they have a system ran by some like a false trinity of psychics, okay? And they use technology and their occult powers to find people before they do a crime, okay? That's a simple explanation. Obama, while he was in office, started a system that started to develop PreCrime. You could go look at the articles. I'm not lying to you. It's not far-fetched. It's real. It's not the same system as the movie, but it is technology. I'm not, there could be an occult connection, but I'll leave that where I'll digress. As far as AI, you have level 1, which is the kind that's in your video game, in your phones, okay? You have level 2, you have level 3, level 4, and it goes on until you reach the singularity, which is where AI becomes self-aware. It knows it like, when God says, I am that I am, well, the artificial intelligence would say the same thing. In fact, Ultron in the Avengers movie says, he says it really quick, I am, and that was a movement going on through the music industry and all these TV shows. They would say I am because they want to be like God. Okay. And so anyway, as we move forward, you have TikTok. There was a problem with China, but it's technology that can any technology that can send a signal can receive a signal. And so yes, any technology can be used for the wrong reasons. what we're using right now, Zoom, they had a problem with Zoom and trying to tap into Zoom. They claim it's fixed, whatever. Watch these systems that you love to jump on. Okay. Now, as far as your iPhone and your Galaxies, the GPS signal, I used to have a GPS without a phone one time. I was amazed by it. It was just telling me exactly where I am. And I was excited to hook up with it. I told you I was into future technology, right? And so
Yeah.
the day that my iPhone said, "You're going to church," or whatever location, I was like, wait a minute, this is getting creepy. But you see, we got used to that. And now they want us to have the
Yep.
contact tracing. They know things about you. They know when you didn't install that app. They know that you don't want to do it. There's a reason that they keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. And so anyway, a lot of us are we are excited for the upgrade. And that leads me to another point, circling back to one of your other points earlier about transhumanism. I'm going to keep echoing this statement. Human 2.0. You can look it up online. It's in National Geographics. It's all over the place. Human 2.0, because they want us infused with tech. Going back to that slave class, going back to people wanting to become gods. This is a fact. In fact, some of the agencies, when it comes to like Skywatch TV Group, they said that they're the milieu. The milieu is a group of people that, whatever. And so they're fighting against technocracy and transhumanism. So they wrote papers about them. They'll do the same to us because we are the dividing line between people that are not saved, that are just moral people, and people that are not saved, that are tyrannical. Okay? We bring the light of the gospel of Jesus Christ with truth. This is not conspiracy theory. This is not something we're just making up to get views or listen, I don't make no money from YouTube, so you can't say I'm doing that, right? Listen,
That's all right.
This is important information for you to discern the coming times, okay? And listen, I say this all the time. I think God gave me the revelation that even though the rapture is imminent, the New World Order can be in place by then. The third temple could be in place by then. A lot of things could be in place by then. We don't know how far God is going to let all this go, but we see the signs. We know the season of his coming, right? And it doesn't matter. Some people I remember somebody said something, we've gone through all this stuff, but Jesus can come back in 300 years. I kind of rolled my eyes, but at the same time, does it matter if he comes back in 300 years? We still have to warn. People still are going to hell. People are still going to take this technology and destroy their lives. You don't understand the nightmare that's coming. And I'm not trying to be sensational and try to scare people. Imagine, not to go off of too much of the stuff we're talking about now, but imagine a scenario where you're in this hologram environment or virtual reality environment and you can't get out because you're stuck there because your brain is infused with tech and there was a glitch. Imagine that. Imagine you like these horror games and you go into this scenario where this Resident Evil or something similar. They have some really sick horror games out there and you get stuck in one of those things. What if it's not even getting stuck? What if your brain starts not being able to recognize reality? This is crazy stuff and it's all plausible. Trust me. Black Mirror. They had an episode. I couldn't even stand watching the episode. I just had to kind of, these two guys, best friends, hook up online, and because you could feel the flesh or whatever, they're in one is a female, one is a male, but they're in the real world, they are both male, and they start doing it with each other. This is not their lifestyle. This is not what their friendship was about. At first, they were weirded out by it, and then they kept doing it. what kind of weird depravity are we starting to watch on TV that will become reality? If they put it in a film, more than likely they can do it. Not to an extreme, but I'm just saying. Go ahead, sir.
I agree with that, Chris. When Hollywood and those that are controlling Hollywood want you to know, because this is, Chris, you already know this. Your listeners are intelligent. They know this.
Yeah.
When occultists want you to know, because this is part of their game, they have to tell you what they're doing.
Yeah.
And when they want you to know, they just put it in a movie. They make it. They present it to you in a story. Oh man, that was a great picture and the storyline. But you know that part right there.
Right.
No, they're actually telling you what they're doing. They're actually telling you what they're going to do, and that stuff is actually real, because when they tell you that's what they're doing or going to do, they're already capable of doing it or have already done it. So this stuff that we've been talking about, folks, all of this stuff, and listen, we've just scratched the surface in this conversation. There is mind-blowing stuff out there that if it was reported, you'd go, get out of here. That's not possible.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
Well, let's loop back, Chris.
Yeah.
Contacts that actually have embedded in them receivers and nanotechnology, micro technology that can cast holograms right in front of your face so you can see these things.
Mm-hmm.
This is you know how thin a contact is, folks? And they have somehow managed to embed circuitry, electronic circuitry, into these contacts that are capable of communicating with another receiver transponder machines, and are actually capable of allowing someone wearing these contacts to see this. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
This stuff is way, way, way past anything that we could imagine right now. And they'll roll it out. But when they do, you need to understand they're already using it for nefarious purposes.
Yes.
They're already using it for evil, because that is the dark heart of man apart from God. Control, control, control. It always boils down to that, brother.
Yes, indeed. You know, we have facial recognition. We haven't talked about that. These contacts are in line with that, because imagine now you're in a park and you have these contact lenses and a stranger's walking by, and you could just look at him, trace him, and it brings up his name, his profile, his Facebook profile. Who knows?
That's right.
And
That's right.
you learn everything about this dude or woman, and he doesn't suspect a thing. But what if society now, this stuff becomes ubiquitous and everybody's like, oh, well, let me see what that person is. And they know. It's like the video game Watch Dogs, right? For those of you familiar with it, it was basically this hacker. He would go around and read people's information, hack into their system and hack into them personally or whatever. But I want to get to a game that kind of links up these concepts as far as the concept of transhumanism, biotechnology, biometrics, Call of Duty. Okay, Call of Duty is a very popular game. I play sometimes, and I used to be very addicted to it, but not anymore because God has changed that. But it's kind of good that I stayed with it, because I see the technology, I see the occultism in some of these games, because they're made by 3 different studios. You have Infinity Ward, you have Treyarch, and you have Sledgehammer. And so in this game now, imagine now what Pastor was alluding to earlier, is that they want to transfer the consciousness or the soul, or, you know, it's basically what they're trying to say. They'll make a copy, and it'll still be you. It doesn't make any sense. But anyway, let's just stick with that concept. You transfer your body to a robot, an avatar, a clone, a hologram, whatever device you choose, right? I think all that's nightmarish anyway. But as we go on, in a video game, a first-person shooter, for those that don't know, is when you see the gun and the person's hand, but that's all you see. That's a first-person shooter because you're in the first person, okay? When you die, you come back in another body, right? It's not the same body because if you run around the map, that old body's on the floor, right? Get the concept? That's what transhumanism will be like, okay? If God let them get that far. There was a game, Unreal Tournament, that really brought it home to me. The guy was up in a spaceship above some planet, and he would go down to do this tournament, this battle, and he'd die and then rearrange back on the ship. Brand new body, same built and everything, but now you got to go back and continue doing the mission, whatever. This comes back to the concept of Star Trek, when Captain Kirk or Spock or whoever, they go to the transporter, their atoms get disassembled, or molecules, and come back, and it's not the same body. They actually died. And they came back in the same clone. So these concepts have been around for a long time, and we're just trying to make it clear to you in a very layman form, because I'm not academic, and I know some big words I could use, but I try not to go all academic on you. I try to talk in a regular language so that you can understand, you could chew on it and take it somewhere to basically, like I said before, form a conversation. So I hope that this program is really benefiting you. I'm taking my time today. Usually I'm bam, 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 bam. I'm all over the place. Okay. I'm trying to be laser focused. And we did go into many different directions, but it's all the same concept. It's all the same concept. Tech is going to be everywhere. You won't be able to get away from it. Trust me. I can go into law enforcement. I can go into what happened with COVID and the robot dogs. All this stuff. It's becoming so complacent. I can't keep up. And I'm sure you feel the same way, sir.
Yeah. And so one final thought, Chris, while listening to you, you did a great job of tying all this together. This scripture comes to mind where Jesus was telling people, listen, there is an eternity. You need to understand that. And he said, and don't fear the one that can destroy the soul. You should fear the one that can destroy the soul and the body.
Yes.
Now, when we talk about transhumanism and transferring could that be, I'm just throwing this out there, could that be one of the enemy's strategies to destroy a soul, which is to say, make it unredeemable? Is that a strategy that the enemy might be advancing, whereby the one who is going to become transhuman, human 2.0, AI capable, are they going to have to sign off on the dotted line that their soul belongs to whomever? It's just food for thought, folks.
I think
you need to understand the Bible might have been written many, 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 many centuries ago in the Old Testament case.
Yeah.
But it's just as relevant today as the day it was written, because God is eternal and his message is true. It was true yesterday, it's true today, it'll be true tomorrow. And as long as this creation goes on, God's truth is true. So get into the word, folks. Let me encourage you to do that. Get into the Bible, understand what it says, and then you'll see all of this stuff that Chris and I have been talking about, and all of the things that Chris talks about on many other platforms and shows and subjects. You'll see it open up in a whole new way, and you'll go, oh my goodness, I never thought of that before. That's because the Spirit of God is in you, the Word of God is in you, and now you see all of this for what it really is.
Amen. And right before we go, I want to touch on that what you just said, because there's a concept out there that if your DNA gets changed, that you won't be able to be saved anymore. Listen, folks, cut it out. When you get saved, it's not your body being saved, because we get brand new bodies. That's when we become perfect. We get brand new bodies at the rapture, or when we go see Jesus, when the first resurrection happened, we get new bodies. Okay, so it's not your body being saved; it's your soul. So all the talk about, you know, the vaccine to change the DNA, then you can't get saved and all this stuff. No. It's far worse than that. Okay. It's not about, because most of our DNA is already changed. We've been eating GMOs for years. Okay. And all it takes is 1% to change you from being the human that you were born as. So I just want to leave on that thought. And thank you, Pastor Mike, for joining me today. And folks, listen, this is serious business. I'm not trying to scare you or anybody else. Just trying to give you good information. And for you, again, it's my third time saying it, for you to share the gospel and don't let them burn.
Amen.
If you like our videos, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to get all our frequent updates.